few actresses captured the essence of 1960s and 70s European art cinema quite like Delphine Seyrig. The French star brought an intriguing blend of charm and intellect to the works of renowned directors such as Alain Resnais, Marguerite Duras, François Truffaut, Chantal Akerman, and Luis Buñuel. Despite her significant contributions, she often went unrecognized during her lifetime. The enigma surrounding her lack of awards has only deepened since a film she starred in was named the greatest of all time, surpassing classics like Citizen Kane and Vertigo in a prestigious poll. Tragically, her life ended prematurely, but Delphine Seyrig remains a memorable figure, embodying the archetype of the enigmatic, icy blonde in French cinema. Today, let us explore the life of Delphine Seyrig. Born in 1932 in Beirut, Lebanon, Delphine hailed from a cultured Protestant family. Her father, Henri Seyrig, directed the Beirut Archaeological Institute and later became France's cultural attaché in New York during World War II. Her mother, Hermine de Saussure, was Swiss and was related to the famous linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. Delphine had a brother, Francis, who also made a name for himself as a composer. After the war, the family relocated to Paris, where Delphine spent her teenage years bouncing between France, Greece, and New York. She left school at 17 to chase her passion for acting. Her father agreed to support her decision, provided she took her studies seriously. Delphine then immersed herself in the dramatic arts, learning from legendary figures like Raoul Blanc, Pierre Berton, and Tanya Balachova. In 1950, she tied the knot with American artist Jack Youngerman in Paris, and they welcomed a son, Duncan, who followed in the family tradition by becoming a composer in 1956. Duncan continues to compose today. Delphine made her stage debut in 1952 with Louis D's musical L'amour et papier, followed by performances in L'Ode Day by Pierre Duvaux and Jean Giraudoux' Tessa Lacour. Renowned actor and theater director Jeanne Dielman recognized her talent, casting her in significant roles such as Ariel in Shakespeare's The Tempest and Cherubino in The Marriage of Figaro. He also entrusted her with the lead in Giraudoux' Andromaque, a role she took over from Odile Versoix. Delphine's captivating performances quickly garnered attention, setting her on the path to stardom. She spent a few more years in Europe, appearing in Oscar Wilde's An Ideal Husband in Paris and making guest appearances in the French adaptation of Sherlock Holmes in 1954. Despite her growing fame, she faced rejection from the prestigious People's National Theatre in France, founded by F.A.L. Scheer in 1920 to provide quality theatre at accessible prices. Unfortunately, Seyrig's unique, melodious voice was deemed too unconventional for the stage. In 1956, she made the bold decision to move to America with Jack and Duncan, hoping to join the actor's studio. Once again, she did not pass the audition. Still, she remained undeterred, spending 3 years observing and attending classes with the legendary Lee Strasberg. Despite facing numerous rejections, she didn't let them hinder her career. She managed to secure roles and sustain herself. However, the quality of those productions often left much to be desired. She performed in Connecticut and took part in an off-Broadway rendition of Pirandello's Henry IV, sharing the stage with Burgess Meredith and Alida Valli. Unfortunately, the production flopped so badly that the producer reportedly burned the set designs. Nevertheless, her time at the actor's studio proved invaluable, laying the groundwork for future success. Like many remarkable stories, hers took a turn thanks to a stroke of luck. A year after her stint at the actor's studio, her life changed dramatically following a chance encounter. While performing in Henrik Ibsen's An Enemy of the People, she caught the attention of an enthusiastic audience member, none other than the acclaimed French director Alain Resnais, fresh off the success of his enigmatic film Hiroshima Mon Amour. Resnais had plans for a movie featuring the pulp magazine character Harry Dixon and believed Delphine would be ideal for the role of Georgette Coeur, the formidable foe of the detective, known as the Spider. Although this intriguing project never came to fruition, that meeting sparked a lasting and iconic partnership in cinema. In 1959, Delphine starred in her first feature film, Pull My Daisy, a significant work of the Beat generation. This 30-minute film, narrated and written by Jack Kerouac, showcased poets like Allen Ginsberg, Gregory Corso, and Peter Orlovsky, alongside painter Larry Rivers. Delphine portrayed Rivers' wife in this captivating narrative about a brakeman who invites a respected bishop to dinner, a group of beat poets to crash the event, leading to a series of hilarious antics narrated by Kerouac himself. Pull My Daisy resulted in a largely improvised film that many now regard as a masterpiece of improvisation. The legendary status of its cast, combined with David Amram's jazzy score, has turned it into a cult classic. For Delphine, this marked just the beginning of her unconventional career. In 1960, she landed a role as a French neighbor to Cara Williams and Harry Morgan in the sitcom Pete and Gladys. Although she departed after just 3 episodes, it was fascinating to see her interact with actors from such different backgrounds. This stint represented yet another unusual step in her career, as she appeared in a spin-off of CBS's popular December Bride, a major hit in the 1950s. This peculiar cameo ultimately signaled the end of Delphine's time in the United States. Despite her fond memories of America, where she once remarked in 1969 that she didn't see herself as strictly French, but rather as equally American, it's intriguing that someone with her character felt such a strong connection to American culture and its film industry. In 1961, she returned to France, where she quickly ascended to fame. Her feature film debut couldn't have been more opportune. Delphine took the lead in Alain Resnais's Last Year at Marienbad, a film co-created with writer Alain Robbe-Grillet that set a high standard for 60s art house cinema. With its surreal ambiance, ambiguous storyline, and groundbreaking artistic direction, the film captured audiences' imaginations. Robbe-Grillet, influenced by Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, initially envisioned Kim Novak for the role of the mysterious female lead. However, while Delphine was on holiday in France, Resnais offered her the part, and she eagerly accepted, marking a pivotal moment in her career. In the film, Delphine takes on a role simply known as the woman, as described by Robbe-Grillet. The plot unfolds in a lavish castle where a man, portrayed by Giorgio Albertazzi, attempts to persuade her that they had an affair the previous year. While this premise sounds straightforward, the way the story develops is both mystifying and captivating. Viewers interpret the film in various ways. Some see it as a ghost story, others as a sci-fi tale, meta-theater, or even a retelling of classic myths like Orpheus and Eurydice. Unlike the rest of the cast, Resnais sought more from Delphine than just a static performance. As the man tries to evoke feelings and memories within her, Delphine skillfully transforms her character. She masterfully balances innocence with a growing desire, delivering an extraordinary performance. Much like Resnais's camera work, she embodies a memory that haunts the man. The film blurs the lines of time and space, intertwining past and future in a seamless narrative. Its intentionally perplexing plot leaves viewers questioning what is real and what is imagined. There may be a romance, and perhaps the characters have crossed paths before. Mirrors and shadows shift unpredictably, drawing the audience into a dreamlike realm. Delphine, with her striking and versatile appearance, fits seamlessly into the film's sophisticated labyrinth. Her husky voice adds a unique touch to her captivating roles in cinema. One might have expected her to dive into numerous projects after the success of Marienbad, but she opted to return to her first love, the theater. Delphine was cautious about the trappings of fame, which led to a strained relationship with the press. She expressed her views, suggesting that there's nothing to say about actors. The only thing that matters is seeing them perform. She also resented how journalists often twisted her words into sensational stories or fabricated quotes after Marienbad. In her subsequent film, Muriel, directed by Resnais, Delphine underwent a significant transformation. As a dedicated method actress, she created extensive backstories for her characters, striving for authenticity. In Muriel, She used makeup to appear older and less attractive, showcasing a vast range of skills. Her portrayal of Alan Ogan, a seemingly scatterbrained yet deeply troubled antique shop owner, stands out as one of her finest performances. Alan reconnects with her former lover, Alonce Noart, a charming yet deceptive man who arrives with a young woman, Françoise, whom he claims is his niece. Alan's betrayal is marked by clumsy movements and quirky behaviors that, while humorous on the surface, reveal her character's profound sorrow. Through subtle facial expressions, she conveys boredom, romantic longing, and dissatisfaction. This powerful performance earned her the prestigious Volpi Cup at the Venice Film Festival. The film Sick opened up numerous doors for Renée, yet she remained cautious about her sudden rise to fame. She never considered herself a star, often reflecting on the idea that a star is merely a racehorse that producers can bet on. Perhaps due to her apprehension about the spotlight, Seyrig chose to focus on more substantial stage work. In 1964, she had her first collaboration with Samuel Beckett, inviting him to her home in Place Divo to rehearse for the role of the lover in the French production of his play. Michael Lale played her onstage husband, while Eleanor Hurt took on the role of the wife. Beckett, who had long resided in France, was impressed by her talent and cast her. They later brought the production to the stage and created a film adaptation in 1966. Seyrig also took on smaller roles in films by other prominent art house directors. She appeared in Louis Buñuel's The Milky Way in 1969 and had a brief romantic role in François Truffaut's Stolen Kisses in 1968. In 1969, she made the bold decision to turn down the leading female role in The Swimming Pool, deeming the character uninteresting despite encouragement from her friend Jean Rochefort. It was almost unheard of for someone to refuse a role in an Alain Donon film, but Seyrig valued her ability to say no when a project didn't resonate with her. Ultimately, Romy Schneider was cast in the role. This film, a tale of sexual jealousy and possessiveness set on the Côte d'Azur, became one of mid-century France's most iconic works, showcasing beautiful yet morally bankrupt characters caught in a whirlwind of passion that spiraled into fear and horror. In an unexpected turn, Delphine accepted the role of Marie Madeleine, an American expatriate, in William Klein's Mr. Freedom in 1968. This satirical film critiqued American imperialism and featured her in a semi-nude role. The story followed a white nationalist superhero and his sidekick Mary as they attempted to thwart a communist takeover in France, with cameos from Donald Pleasance, Philippe Noiret, and Serge Gainsbourg. She also portrayed a journalist in Klein's Who Are You, Polly Magoo?, a mockumentary that poked fun at the fashion industry. Another important role comes from Joseph Losey's 1967 film Accident, in which her romance with the character played by Dirk Bogarde is a creative sequence that makes their encounter feel supernatural. Delphine appreciated her work with Losey on this film. In 1967, she collaborated with Marguerite Duras on the music. Duras admired Delphine's screen presence, likening her to classic Hollywood icons. She remarked that when Delphine Seyrig appeared on camera, she evoked images of Garbo and Clara Bow, questioning if Cary Grant might be by her side. Duras even hailed her as the greatest actress in France, if not the world, praising her voice as if it carried the sweetness of freshly bitten fruit. While El Moussa may not be the most well-remembered collaboration between Delphine and Duras, it marked the beginning of a fruitful partnership. As for her unique voice, its distinctiveness was likely influenced by her chain-smoking habit. A cigarette often dangled elegantly from her fingers, a common sight among the glamorous French stars of the time. While the tobacco contributed to her captivating voice, it would later come at a devastating cost. Between 1970 and 1971, Delphine Seyrig truly embodied a sense of ethereal and timeless femininity. In Jacques Demy's vibrant film Peau d'Âne, she portrayed the fairy godmother to Catherine Deneuve's Princess. Set in the 1600s, the film styled Delphine like a glamorous 1930s star, donning a stunning purple satin dress, a tall lavender collar, and iconic bleach blonde finger waves. Yet, Delphine wasn't just confined to art house cinema. She embraced diverse roles across genres. In 1971, she took on the unforgettable role of a seductive vampire in Harry Kumel's Daughters of Darkness, a film that has captivated fans of unconventional horror for years. This unique blend of eroticism and a political undertone distinguishes it from similar films. In Daughters of Darkness, Delphine plays a glamorous reincarnation of Elizabeth Bathory, the infamous Hungarian serial killer rumored to have murdered hundreds of young women and bathed in their blood. Some believe Bathory, a powerful countess, fell victim to a conspiracy that fabricated these tales. Regardless of the truth, her legacy as a vampire and a lesbian remains firmly established in folklore. The early 70s saw a wave of films featuring lesbian vampires, from hardcore porn to dreamy horror, all influenced by Bathory's story. Daughters of Darkness leans toward the artistic, showcasing Delphine in elaborate costumes reminiscent of her Podin days. Kumel filled the film with opulent imagery, feathers, mirrors, and winding hotel corridors. Kumel drew inspiration for Delphine's character from Marlene Dietrich and modeled co-star Andrea Rau after Louise Brooks. He dressed Delphine's vampire in the Nazi colors of black, white, and red, highlighting her demagogic qualities. Time Out magazine later recognized Daughters of Darkness as the 90th greatest horror film of all time. Delphine's next project was another hallmark of art house cinema, Luis Buñuel's 1972 masterpiece, The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie. The film centers on a group of upper-class friends who struggle to share a meal together. While the plot may seem thin, it's one of the most engaging and humorous films out there, especially for fans of surreal comedy. Delphine once again plays an elegant, enigmatic blonde, maintaining her calm demeanor amid the film's increasingly strange events. Buñuel often joked about incorporating scenes from his dreams when he needed extra material. The film features 3 recurring dreams of his: forgetting lines while on stage, encountering a deceased cousin in a cobweb-filled house, and waking to find his late parents watching him, each striking in its own right. Buñuel later shared with Newsweek that his favorite characters were the cockroaches appearing in one of the dream sequences. The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie achieved both critical acclaim and commercial success, winning the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film and BAFTA Awards for Best Actress for Stéphane Audran and Best Original Screenplay. Buñuel, famously nonchalant about awards, even joked about bribing the Academy with $25,000 to secure the Oscar. Afterward, Delphine ventured into some surprising roles in 2 prominent British films, The Day of the Jackal in 1973 and The Black Windmill the following year. While neither film aimed to be an art piece, The Day of the Jackal stood out with its stunning cinematography. However, these British productions, focused more on entertainment than introspection, left some of her French fans feeling disillusioned. Critics also pointed out that her performances in these films seemed to reduce her to a mere symbol, featuring unnecessary nudity. This shift felt jarring for an actress celebrated for her strong feminist views and art house credibility. The Day of the Jackal garnered acclaim, winning the BAFTA Award for Best Editing and receiving an Oscar nomination. The film showcased breathtaking scenes of the July 14 parade on the Champs-Élysées, which played a crucial role in the plot's climax. In contrast, The Black Windmill didn't receive favorable reviews, despite its popularity with audiences. Michael Caine faced criticism for his lack of emotional depth, while Donald Pleasance earned some praise. Unfortunately, Delphine's smaller role went largely unnoticed by critics. She also appeared in Joseph Losey's disappointing adaptation of A Doll's House, where she and Jane Fonda, who played Nora, clashed with the director over his perceived misogynistic take on the story. Delphine found her collaboration with Losey less enjoyable, and the film turned into a struggle. Important dialogue suffered from poor editing, which weakened the character's development and resulted in a cold film by Losey's standards. Despite the tension on set, Losey, Delphine, and Fonda bonded over their shared political beliefs. Lucy, an exiled and blacklisted American communist, had become a figurehead for leftist actors in both France and Britain. Meanwhile, Fonda and Delphine tirelessly championed left-wing ideals throughout the 1960s and 70s. In her next significant role, Delphine starred in Marguerite Duras's India Song, playing the fragile wife of the French ambassador in India. She embodied a languid sensuality. Even though the film was shot in the decidedly non-tropical setting of Chateau Rothschild in Paris. Duras's film, rich in atmosphere and sparse in dialogue, required Delphine to express a passive sensuality that clarified the film's ambiguities, with her detached charisma serving as a focal point. The film faced harsh criticism, especially from American reviewers, for its lack of narrative and emphasis on aesthetics over substance. Nevertheless, Delphine received praise, with Vincent Canby of the New York Times describing her as marvelous to contemplate. Over time, the film has gained appreciation, now regarded as a kind of dream poem, with Michael Lale often citing it as his favorite role. Delphine's next venture paired her with Isabelle Huppert in Alois, a film directed by Liliane de Kermadec that has faded from memory. In this biopic about an artist grappling with mental illness, Delphine skillfully portrayed a nuanced sense of madness. She effectively conveyed her character's sexual and psychological frustrations, whether she was lip-syncing to an aria in the woods or undergoing a doctor's examination. As her career progressed, Delphine found herself increasingly drawn to female directors and themes centered around women, paving the way for a pivotal moment in her career. When Sight and Sound named Chantal Akerman's Jeanne Dielman, 23 Quai du Commerce, 1080 Bruxelles the greatest film of all time in December 2022, it left many film enthusiasts stunned. The Sight and Sound list, published by the BFI every decade since 1952, has traditionally leaned toward a conservative selection of films. In its 70-year history, only 3 films had previously held the title of the greatest: The Bicycle Thieves, Citizen Kane, and Vertigo. The unexpected rise of Akerman's film stirred quite a debate. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian praised Sight and Sound for finally recognizing a female filmmaker in its top spot, noting that it was time for a woman to be acknowledged in the magazine's all-time rankings. Conversely, director Paul Schrader criticized the list, claiming that the sudden prominence of Jeanne Dielman compromised its credibility. While I personally admire Akerman's film, its surprise ranking does it no favors. Its unconventional style and lengthy runtime certainly set it apart from Citizen Kane or Vertigo. In a parallel director's poll from 2022, Jeanne Dielman still secured a respectable 4th place, trailing behind 2001, A Space Odyssey, Citizen Kane, and The Godfather. Clocking in at 3 hours and 20 minutes, the film offers a mesmerizing look at domestic life through Delphine's character, Jeanne. Rather than a conventional movie, it feels more like a moving piece of art. Delphine embodies Jeanne, a meticulous widow, over the course of 3 days as she cooks, cleans, and cares for her son, shockingly resorting to prostitution each afternoon to make ends meet. Delphine's portrayal captures Jeanne's underlying anxiety with remarkable subtlety, showcasing her talent in a masterful performance. This role transcends typical acting, even outshining her detailed work in Mel. Delphine's depiction of Jeanne Dielman is incredibly nuanced, though achieving this performance posed challenges. Initially, she struggled with Akerman's direction, particularly when asked to slow her movements without a clear rationale. Delphine sought an explanation, but as time passed, she began to embrace Akerman's vision, letting go of her actor's studio training to fully inhabit Jeanne's stillness. Delphine's performance is so authentic that it goes beyond conventional acting. The film plunges us into Jeanne's strict routines on the first day, making even minor mishaps, like dropping a spoon, feel monumental when everything starts to unravel on the second day. Jeanne often finds herself alone, and Delphine effectively captures her unawareness of the camera, portraying her existence with raw sincerity. This groundbreaking performance explores the intricacies of a woman's life. As we delve into Jeanne's psyche, Delphine's subtle expressions convey her half-formed thoughts and the monotony of her daily life. While Jeanne seeks a sense of complacency, her world begins to shift when her client overstays and her potatoes burn. Delphine skillfully illustrates Jeanne's descent into chaos. Although Jeanne maintains a tight grip on her emotions, cracks begin to show on the pivotal third day. Men mock her at the post office, which is closed when she tries to buy a stamp. At home, she nearly spills a milk bottle but manages to catch it. Her coffee tastes so awful that she has to toss it, and a neighbor's baby cries endlessly. With her third client, she appears composed and rigid, keeping her clothes on even during intimacy. When her rage finally erupted, she killed a man with scissors, just like crushing a bug. Now eerily calm, Jeanne sits at her dining table, blood on her hands. Jeanne Dielman showcases the pinnacle of Delphine's talent. Regardless of public opinion, this film secures her place in cinematic history. By this time, Delphine had emerged as a leading feminist voice in France. Throughout her career, she harnessed her fame to advocate fiercely for women's rights, even contemplating stepping away from acting as a protest against the hyper-masculine landscape of French cinema in the 1960s and 70s. In Truo's Stolen Kisses, her character asserts that she is not a ghost, but a woman. Delphine felt confined by the idealized image of femininity she was expected to project, viewing her portrayal of femininity as a survival tactic. When she found a chance to rebel, she fully embraced feminism, even directing her own feminist films. Disillusioned by the rampant corruption and sexual abuse in the French film industry, Delphine became bolder in her political expressions. She signed the Manifesto of the 343, a petition in which over 300 women admitted to having illegal abortions in France. In 1975, she founded the feminist video collective Léonis, a term meaning disobedient muses, which produced videos tackling women's issues in media, labor, and reproductive rights. As a filmmaker, she created 3 notable feminist films: Scum Manifesto, named after Valerie Solanas' radical feminist text, Maso Miss, a documentary addressing misogyny in French politics, which translates to Be Pretty and Shut Up, featuring interviews with women in the film industry. In interviews, Delphine confidently dismisses accusations of being too radical or unreasonable, maintaining a consistent and assertive voice throughout her career. Today, it's pretty standard for celebrities to tackle bold social issues, often encouraged by the media and government. However, Delphine was ahead of her time, risking her career to speak out. She held on to one powerful belief: independence equals happiness. While her commitment to collaborating with female directors didn't always pay off, like in her lengthy roles with Ori Anger, she did find success with Akran in the delightful musical Golden 80s, released in 1986. This film, set in a shopping mall, dives into themes like consumerism, feminism, and Jewish identity. Golden 80s enjoyed moderate success in Belgium and France, with Vincent Can praising it in a 1992 review as a charming, unpretentious romantic comedy that perfectly captured the characters' passions. Delphine's last film, Joanna d'Arc of Mongolia, came out in 1989, directed by Alria Singer, who also helmed Freak Orlando. Tragically, her life was cut short when lung cancer struck in the late 80s, a consequence of her long-term smoking habit. She passed away in 1990 at 58. The same year the world lost another iconic blonde, Greta Garbo. In 2002, the Museum of Modern Art celebrated Delphine's legacy with a retrospective featuring even some of her lesser-known works. During a symposium, actress Tilda Swinton shared her memories of meeting Delphine at a women's studies conference, where they explored an art gallery together. Swinton remembered Delphine as stunningly beautiful, but emphasized that her true essence went far beyond her looks. Despite being considered one of France's finest actresses, Delphine never received a César Award. Some speculate this was due to her outspoken nature, which may have turned off older voters. She often criticized 1950s French cinema and didn't shy away from comparing French actors unfavorably to their American peers. Her strong feminist views also earned her a fair share of detractors. Delphine herself recognized that her candidness likely contributed to her mixed reception in some circles. While she may not fit the mold of a typical movie star, Delphine's influence on international cinema and her status as a feminist icon are undeniable. Her performances have cemented her legacy in one of the most vibrant periods of art house cinema, especially in France and Belgium. That wraps up this episode. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.